Hi guys, it's Karen from A Yarn Tale. I'm coming to you from Chicago where I live with my husband, our 3 kids, and our dog, Max. This is a knitting podcast where I go through everything I've been up to over in this yarny corner of the internet. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as knotfancyknitter. That's K-N-O-T Fancy Knitter. There's a Ravelry group for this podcast, so if you want to pop over and say hello, I'm getting used to checking over there, so hopefully we can say hi and you can show me what you're working on and what you want to work on. And you can also feel free to message me on Instagram. Again, that's knotfancyknitter, K-N-O-T Fancy Knitter. If this is your first time finding this channel, welcome. I'm so glad you came. I would love it if you let me know how you found us. Sometimes the YouTube algorithm is really weird, so it's hard to know how people find their way here. But I'm so glad that you made it. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe or like this video or pop a comment down below. I do eventually get to them, although sometimes it takes me a tiny bit. So I would like to just get right into it. I don't have a ton of stuff to share, I don't think. I have been mostly focused on trying to keep up with the Stephen West Shawlography mystery knit along. But I do have a few things that I finished up before the MCAL started, and a couple of things I want to be working on. So let's just get right into it and see what we're doing. So finished objects. I've got one. Okay, you guys remember I was knitting the Dotted Rays by Stephen West for my mom. It is done. Okay, I did not weave in the ends or block it. So it's kind of finished. It's like a little bit finished. But I love how it turned out. I don't know if it's showing up on camera because it is sort of see-through. Here, if I hold it back, maybe it's not so see-through. But it's just beautiful. I made the small size, which is ridiculous because it is definitely not small. It's mostly garter. Oh, hi, ends. Hi. It's mostly garter, and you just add these giant holes in there. I knit it out of Anzula Meridian in the colorway Emerald. And it's a really weird mix, which the fiber content always escapes me. It's like tencel, silk, I don't remember. I'll put it on the screen because I can't remember. I've mentioned it in previous podcasts, but I love how it knit up. There's a little bit of, it's a tonal yarn, so there's a little bit of kind of subtle striping in there, which I was not expecting, but I really like. I only screwed up a little, but I fixed it. I got down to the very end. Or which way is the end? I don't remember. Yeah, you cast on at the top and then you knit down. And I got down to like the last second or third row, and I realized, these eyelet holes kind of show up in a pattern, and I had just this random extra hole. I don't know what happened there. So I just took the needles out and pulled it back. It's just garter, so it was actually super easy to pick up. If I had been savvier, I probably could have dropped down and fixed it. I dropped down and I got to the part where the extra hole was, and I tried to like close it up, and it just wasn't. I had all this extra yarn. I don't even know if it's possible to do that. I couldn't figure it out, so I just pulled it back. It wasn't that long. It was I had not gotten to the next hole, so it was only like I only pulled back like that much. Not bad. My mom and dad actually came to visit me because last weekend was the Chicago Marathon and Columbus Day, and it was like a holiday weekend, so they came out because it's a really exciting time in the city. And I showed my mom that I finished it, and I was like, look, I did it, I made this thing, and you can't have it because I have to block it and wash it and block it and show it on the podcast, so sorry. So I took it back. But I will block it in short order and get it sent off to her because she did seem to like it. Hi, Mom. So that is really exciting. Dotted Rays. And I will say I am very, very glad that I knit the Dotted Rays right before the Shawlography knit along, mystery knit along, because some of the techniques that you use for these holes reappear again in the Shawlography shawl. So it made it a little bit less freaky because I'd already seen it. So that is Dotted Rays. Highly recommend. Once I got the hang of the patterning for the eye holes, no, not the eye holes, once I got the patterning down for where to put the holes or the eyelets or whatever you call those, they're like bigger than eyelets. They're ginormous. It was really an easy knit. It's just garter. So I would recommend it. I don't think it's that tricky. There is an I-cord at the end, but you mostly add it as you go, except for, of course, the I-cord bind off at the end, which took a ridiculously long period of time, but I'm kind of getting used to that. So good. Dyed erase, done and done. And that's my only finished object. I do have a couple of whips. So I was trying to clear off all of my works in progress, or as many as I could, before the mystery knit along, because I knew I really wouldn't have time to get to them. And I was pretty successful in that. But I finished up the dyed erase 2 days before the mystery knit along started. And I was like, what am I supposed to do now? Should I cast something on? I mean, I can't just not have anything to work on. And I didn't want to get started on, the only other thing I have going is a colorwork yoke sweater that I mentioned in some earlier episodes, the Schneeflocken by Sarah Solomon of Into the Wool. And that is like a project that takes a lot of brain power, and I actually am at a part where I need to just start the body over again. I only had done a little bit of ribbing, and I didn't cast on the right amount for my size, or the size I thought that would work for me ended up being pretty giant. So I need to just rip that back and cast the body on again, and I just didn't want to get started on such a large project right before the mystery knit along. So I was like, oh, I don't want to work on that. I guess I'll just have to cast on something else. So, as you do. So I did, I cast on a hat, which hats are kind of my go-to when I don't know what to work on, because they're pretty low stakes. So if you guys remember, I bought that hat kit. I bought a hat kit at a local yarn shop called Yarnify, which is actually a really amazing shop. I don't usually end up going there just because I live closer to Neenah, Chicago, but they're great. They have all sorts of really interesting indie dyed yarns and local yarns. And the owner, Barb, is really nice. And random fact, my husband, when he was younger, he used to walk Barb's dog. Chicago's a really big city, but it's also really, really small. Like sometimes I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, so sometimes I go see Barb, and last time I was in, I bought this hat kit, which has yarn from 3 Irish girls. This is their worsted weight in the colorway My Sherry Amour, and silk mohair in the colorway Au Naturel. And you hold them together and knit this cabled hat. So I knit the winter cable hat by Annanito Lolo, and I really like this pattern. I was not sure because after I bought the hat kit, I came home and I looked it up on Ravelry, and because the pattern wasn't included with the kit. But it got kind of mixed reviews. I don't know. People were real grouchy about how the pattern was written. They didn't like the gauge. They didn't like how theirs turned out. They were complaining it was like too slouchy or too tight, or I don't even know. People had a lot of grumpy comments, but tons of people had knit it. And I thought the finished projects looked really cute. So I was like, whatever. I bought the kit. I'm going to make the hat. Right? I'm making the hat. So, the pattern recommends that you knit it with an Aran weight, but my kit was worsted and mohair held together. The little tag on the kit recommended that you go up a needle size to accommodate the mohair. So the pattern actually recommended that you knit it with a US 4 needle. I ended up knitting the ribbing with a 4, so it's a 2x2 rib, and then I knit the hat itself in a US 6. So it's been fine. I will say the fabric is really dense. I mean, it will, I seriously think it will stand up by itself. Like, it will. Okay. It's really dense. I forgot that when you cable, it kind of pulls your fabric in together. The cables kind of just suck everything in. And so this is going to be one warm hat. It has mohair in there, which is extra warm anyway, and it's just super dense. So if I were going to knit this again, I probably would go up a needle size, although my US 7 is just MIA. My US 7 needle from my interchangeable Chow set has vaporized. I don't know what happened to that. It's got to be in some project bag somewhere. I mean, I don't go anywhere with my needles that I would leave it or lose it. It's in some project bag somewhere. I don't know. But so I thought about using a 7, but then I was like, well, I don't even have a 7 and I don't want to use an 8. I mean, maybe I should. I don't, too late. I knit it with a 6. So it's super dense. And it's going to be really warm, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I live in Chicago, so warm hats people are never like, gosh, this hat is way too cozy. No. So I'm working on it. I'm just about at the point where you need to start the crown decreases. In fact, I might be at the crown decreases. I hope I wrote that down somewhere. But then basically the mystery knit along started and I was like, I don't have time for you, hat. So I'll finish that up hopefully later this week if I can get through my mystery clues and have a little time left over. So that is the winter cable hat by Annanito Lolo. I would recommend it. I don't know what people were so grouchy about. I think it's cute. I think it is gonna fit. I mean, I have a small head, so I don't worry too much about it being too small. I mean, it's a hat, like it'll stretch out. I bet if I block it, it would stretch out even more. I mean, it's cute now. Check it out. I would wear that. I probably will wear that. No, I won't. I cast it on because I am hosting a gift make-along with Amanda from over at Southern Knits in the Mitt podcast, which is a great podcast, so please go check her out and follow her on Instagram. She is just one of the lovelies of the knitting community, and we are hosting a make-along together where from October 1st to December 1st, if you knit something that you intend to be a gift, or if you say that it's a gift for yourself, I'm fine with that too. You can go ahead and enter it into the make-along. You can pop it into the finished objects thread over on my Ravelry group for a yarn tail, or there's also a finished objects thread over on Amanda's Southern Knits in the Mitt podcast group. So we're gonna have some prizes. I don't know what they are. I gotta get on that. If you're a maker and you want to send some prizes our way, we would love to show them on the podcast and give them away for our make-along. And if not, I'll just wrestle some stuff up. I'm sure it'll be great. So this was my first entry into the, I mean, I'm not gonna enter my own mail, but in any case, this is the first thing I'm knitting for the gift make-along. And someone's gonna love it because it's cute. It's cute. So I would recommend that, despite, don't be scared away by the scary Ravelry comments. I don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so that's that. I have one more whip, and then I'll get into the Stephen West Shawlography. I'll do it right at the end. So if you're knitting the Shawlography shawl and you don't want to see spoilers, that's cool too. I'll let you know exactly where I am in the pattern and put it right at the end. So if you just want to cut the video, that's great. No problem. I've been freakishly avoiding social media because I just don't want to see it before I get to it. So I get that. I get you. No problem. But I have one more whip, and it is a weird one. Okay, so I cast on this hat, and then I did the first clue for the mystery knit along. So Stephen releases part of the pattern on October 8th, and then every Friday thereafter. So on October 8th, I knit the first part of the pattern that he released, and I finished up, I think, on a Wednesday. So I had Thursday, and then the next clue would drop on Friday. So I was like, well, what the heck am I gonna do for Thursday? I mean, I could finish my hat, but it doesn't seem very interesting. I should do something else. So I have been trying to sort of branch out in the projects that I choose. When I first started knitting, I really tried to choose projects that would look like a sweater or a garment or an accessory or something that I would buy in the store. Because I was like, well, that's what I buy, that's what I wear, that's what I'm gonna like. So I knit a lot of sort of classic shapes and really kind of basic colors, and I really shied away from variegated yarn, and I just really wanted it to look, I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, did you make that yourself? Because to me, that's like, that looks wackadoo. Did you do that? I don't know. I didn't want it to be like that. So I was really looking for patterns and things that were more conventional. But the more things that I make, the more I am kind of drawn to, styles and projects that you can only get by making them yourself. And I don't know if that just means I've been living in the monkey house for so long that it doesn't smell to me anymore, or maybe I'm becoming more adventurous. I don't know how to put a spin on that. But I thought that I would try some things that I definitely wouldn't buy in a store just to see how they fit, see if I like them, and just to see. So one of the things that I have been eyeing, don't laugh. Okay. One of the things that I have been eyeing is using some yarn that is like a heavier weight yarn, because I've knit fingering with mohair, I've knit worsted weight hats. I haven't done like a worsted sweater or anything. And I've done some like a DK cowl, but I've never actually used bulky yarn or chunky yarn or any kind of anything. And Instagram is a great enabler. And, everybody kind of complains about the algorithm and all that, but every so often it will show you some different makers or pattern designers that are just super engaging. And one of these people is Brenda. She's Canadian, she's a knitwear designer, and she has tons of chunky sweaters and accessories and like tops. Super cute, really fun, and definitely not what I would say is right my style. I don't know. It's like more fun than I'm used to. She has this one pullover that's called the Social Bubble pullover. I'm gonna pop a picture of it up on the screen because it is super cute. I cannot get over it. It's called the Social Bubble Jumper, and it is knit in jumbo yarn. And I'm like, jumbo yarn, what is that? Like, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know where you get that. Like a sweater's quantity of jumbo yarn, that's weird. But I could not get over these sleeves. I'm looking at it now. These sleeves are amazing. Like, I want everything in that texture. They're huge. They're bubbly. I don't know. I could not stop thinking about those sleeves. And I was like, I really want to make that. I don't know. Am I going to wear it? I don't know. But I also really wanted to make the Ghost Whisperer top by Park Williams. And I wasn't sure if I was going to wear that. And I have to tell you, I've worn the pants off of that thing. So I'm just going to go with it. So I was looking around for jumbo yarn. The gauge on this is 6 stitches to 4 inches. That's ridiculous. 6 stitches to 4 inches, you can knit that in like a day. So I could not find yarn that was exactly that giant. She recommended Wool in the Gang Crazy Sexy Wool, which looks amazing, but it was kind of expensive. And I was like, I don't really want to spend like $100 some on a sweater that I just don't know if I'm going to wear at all. And plus I had just spent a ton of money on the Stephen West MKL yarn. And I was like, I shouldn't even be casting on a project. I'm going to have to find something that's less expensive than that so that I don't freak out. So I looked at Knit Picks because like they're my go-to reasonable yarn when I'm trying to be good Karen. Right? And they have a yarn called Tough Puff. It's not jumbo, but it's super bulky. And it's 100% wool. And so you get 44 yards out of 100 grams. And the Crazy Sexy Wool was 87 yards for 200. So like, that's pretty close. So I was like, I'm gonna try it. I bought the color pomegranate. Hang on, I'll show you the ball. I bought the color pomegranate. You guys, look how giant this is. This is so giant. This is such giant yarn. I can't get over it. Okay, so this is pomegranate. It is like it's kind of pretty red there because of the window light, but it's more of like a burgundy-ish type color. I don't know how to, I'm like, which way looks better? It's a little bit darker. Like the shadowy part there is more true to color. So you're supposed to knit this on US size 19 needles, which I do not have. My circular set does not go up that high. And I had a really hard time finding them on the internet. The internet I was like, no, don't knit this. It is too big. But I was able to find a size 17. So I bought a fixed circular size 17 needle and kind of went to town. My gauge is a little tighter, but it's super oversized. I mean, super oversized. Like the width of the garment, I'm like a 32-inch chest, and the width of the garment is 24 inches to pattern. So that would be like a 48-inch circumference. So I'm like, I mean, that's 16 inches of positive ease. That's a ton. So this is a little bit smaller than the pattern recommends. I think mine is like 20 inches across, but I'm cool with that. I probably should have knit the smaller size because I still think this is gonna be giant. But you guys, so you knit the body bottom up, and then you somehow do the sleeves. I don't know. You knit the body bottom up in the round until you get to the armholes, and then you knit the front flat and the back flat, and then somehow put them together and attach the sleeves. So I didn't get that far, but I knit this part of the body. How am I gonna show this? This whole thing. So like, I'm almost done. I have one more bit before I get to the part where you have to separate for the front and back under the armholes. I did that in one day. I cast on in the morning. Now granted, I brought my girls to ballet, which is like, they do ballet back to back for an hour each. So I'm basically sitting there for 2 hours while they dance. I'm knitting. I'm that weird lady that knits in the lobby of ballet. I'm sure there's lots of people that are like, what's that lady doing? But they're still too shy to approach me yet. So, but some of those dancers are super into it. They're like in middle school, and I can tell they're like, what is that? So I'll get them. I was like, should I stash needles in my bag? Because maybe they're going to want to learn. Anyway, I digress. I knit this whole thing in a day. So I'm thinking I might be able to finish this sweater by the end of the MCAL if I just squeeze it in here and there when I'm done with my clues. I kind of like it. I mean, the front is pretty much stockinette, but it has pearl bumps every so often that make this textured pattern. And then what I'm super interested in is the textured sleeves, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm hoping that will be fun to knit because it looks fun. And then if I like it, I'll wear it. And if I don't like it, it'll be a super warm house sweater. Okay, Tough Puff. This yarn is weird. It is 100% wool. It is not, I mean, to me, it doesn't feel scratchy, but it's not super soft. It is like roving style. So it's a single ply, I think. I'm not a spinner, so like, I don't know that much, but there's no plies here. You can't like separate it out. And it kind of, but it does not, like it's strong. It does not break. When I like trimmed an end or something and I needed to actually use scissors. There was no way I could rip that. I have been wet splicing it together because I don't know how you would possibly weave in ends for bulky yarn. I mean, you would for sure see that if you were weaving it in, even on the back. It's so big. So I will have my ends at the beginning. I actually have 3 ends because I followed your guys' advice to cast on with a long tail cast on using the inside and the outside of the ball. So smart. It was so great. I didn't even have to try to estimate the yardage for how much of a tail to leave, and it worked out great. I do have these 3 ends that I'm gonna have to weave in somehow. And is there a tapestry needle that will possibly work with this size yarn? I don't even know. I'm gonna have to do some internet research because my usual notions that I'm supposed to use with my knitting just don't work with this giant yarn. Like for instance, I usually use a stitch marker to mark my beginning of round, and I have been doing that, but I don't have a stitch marker that's big enough to fit on this giant needle. So I've been actually sticking it on the first stitch of the row, but I have to put it in my knitting, and then it gets so far down that I can't tell which is which, so I have to just periodically move it up so I can see it. I'm I'm sure they make some kind of giant stitch marker, or I could just make one out of yarn. But even my Little Kid elastic hair ties, which is like my go-to lazy man's stitch marker, because I have 1,000 hair ties laying around everywhere around my house. They're too small for this. They're like those little rubber bands that you used to stick on your braces when you're in middle school. They do not fit on this giant needle. So I'm a little bit at a loss. I'm not used to knitting like this. Kind of hurts my hands a little bit if I do it too much, but it does not take long. So next week, you guys, I'm gonna have a bulky sweater. I think I'm gonna wear it to Thanksgiving. Should I wear a giant sweater to Thanksgiving with these giant sleeves that are gonna get in my gravy? Probably not. That's a terrible idea. But I might do it. Okay, so that is that. Social Bubble sweater's going well. It's a little bit weird, but so far so good. The only thing I have left is this Steve & West Mystery Knit Along, which I'm sure you guys are super sick of hearing about, but that has been primarily what I've been working on since October 8th. I'm not going to show anything until I let you know exactly where I am, so if you are also doing the knit along, you can know whether you should look or whether you should look away or whatever. So I finished clue 1, I just started clue 2, and I'm almost through section 5. So like the very first part of clue 2. So if you are okay with seeing what I've done thus far, that's great. If you'd rather turn it off and pop back later after you've knit further, or you don't care anymore, that's fine too. So this is what I've got so far. These colors are crazy. Look at it. Okay, so this first, you cast on with this little semicircle right here. That's section 1. And this is Less Traveled Yarn in their Out Front collection. I don't remember the exact colorway, but I'll pop it up on the screen. That's my first color. And then you knit these wedges with all the other colors, like surrounded by the blue. So you got this one, this one, this one, you go all the way around. I don't even remember which way I started. Yeah, this side. And you slowly pick up stitches from the circle, and then eventually you end up with basically a semicircle. So I screwed it up a little. I realized that this blue stripe there, right before the brown wedge starts, and the end of the brown wedge were too skinny, like I left out a couple of rows there. And then I realized I wasn't gonna end up picking up all the stitches around the semicircle because I was a couple of rows short. So I just knit kind of giant sections around the middle one. So my border on my middle white section is just wider. I don't even think you can see it, but even if you could see it, it looks sort of intentional. It was a design choice made by necessity because I just screwed it up. I don't know what I was doing. The pattern is kind of intuitive once you get the hang of it. I didn't always have to check back at the pattern, but as it turns out, maybe I should have checked a little bit more than I did, and I wouldn't have screwed it up like that. But by the time I realized it, I was like here, and I wasn't gonna go back because who cares? It's my shawl. I like it. It doesn't bother me. So you do that, and then you do these textured section with these V's, which is just slip stitches. Really cool. And it looks complicated, but it really wasn't that bad. So that was fun. And that was clue 1, except for, okay, I don't even know if you can see this on camera. So you do the textured V section, and then these blue things are I-cord loops. What? Okay. There are these loops. I have so many ends. And you guys, I didn't even do the weave in Steven. Why? Steve & West is a huge advocate of weaving in your ends as you go. And that is so smart. And I've done that on previous projects. I just haven't been doing it. I am so lazy, and I'm going to be so mad at myself later because there's like 72,000 ends that I have to weave in. This is the back. And I just don't even feel like dealing with it. So I will be kicking myself later, and yet here we are. So these little blue things are I-cord loops that you knit. What? There's like more than 40 of them all the way around. It is wackadoo. I don't know what's happening with these. Is it just a weird texture? It's like Spider-Man. I would never choose to knit this shawl on my own. Like looking at it online, I'd be like, that is insane. But I have to say, doing it as a mystery is so fun because who knows what it's gonna look like, right? Who knows what colors I'm gonna pick? This is not my usual color palette. It's like way crazy bright. But I kind of like it. Like just knitting for purely entertainment. I'm not trying to make like some kind of tailored garment that I have to worry about fit or something that's going to be, like understated and neutral, which is my usual go-to. This is just crazy fun. So this green and brown section is the start of section 2. This is the first section of section 2. So altogether, it's section 1, 2, 3, 4 is the I-cord loops, and then this is section 5. And I did not look ahead to see what's going on because there's a ton of knitting that has to happen before next Friday, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get through it. But I'm going to do my very best to plow through section 2, or clue number 2, so I can keep up because it was really fun going through and seeing what everyone else had done once I'd already finished. And I love seeing everyone's color combinations, so I'm really excited to see where this goes. I cannot imagine it will get any weirder than this. It's pretty weird, but it is pretty, isn't it? And like, if you look at it from the side, how can I show this? This is very hard to show. Where you pick up stitches before here, like before this V section, this right here was an I-cord edging that you knit as you go. And when you pick up stitches from there, there's like this beautiful raised ridge that's like striped and so cool. That's so cool. How do people think of this? I mean, I can barely execute it with the directions right in front of me. How does something like this come out of your brain? I have no idea. That's so cool. So I'm really glad I'm doing it. I have been having a ton of fun. It is a ridiculous amount of knitting for me. I am a slow knitter, so finishing up clue 1 in time was kind of a challenge. And he was like, clue 2 is going to be more knitting, so block out some time. And I'm like, more knitting. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through it, but I'm going to try my best. If you're working on the knit along, good luck, good luck. If you want to message me on Instagram, I would love to hear where you are or what you're up to. If you would like to chat about it on the Ravelry group, I'll start a thread in there. I'm still like getting up to speed with what we should put in the Ravelry group and what people want to talk about. So if you feel like starting threads, are you guys able to start threads? I don't even know. You guys, I'm the worst podcaster. I will start a Shawlography thread in there if you want to chat. If you'd rather chat on Instagram, that's fine too. If you just want to email me, you can email me at the podcast address, which is ayarntale@gmail.com. That's TAIL. And I would love to chat. Or if you just want to say hi and you hate mystery knit-alongs, that's fine too. I hope that you are doing well. I hope that your knitting is treating you well and you found some projects that you're interested in. If you don't like what you're working on, just get rid of it. I've stopped feeling bad about abandoning projects. It's just, sometimes it doesn't work out. That's fine too. I am hoping to check in next week. It was sort of too long between the last podcast episode and this one, but I got swept up in the clue 1 madness and I was like, I don't even have time to record. I'm trying to do my mystery knitting. So I don't have time to talk about my knitting. I'm trying to do my knitting. But that's not good. I can't just not podcast for October, and that's no fun. So I'll try to check in a little bit more often because I'd love to hear from you guys. If you like this video, click the like button or subscribe or whatever. My brother is a cyclist and a coach, and he has an amazing podcast called Evoq Bike. And I really think that I might catch him with subscribers. He has like 2,000 some, and I have 1,350. So tell your friends so that Thanksgiving can be fun and we can have a friendly family competition. And that's all. that's all I've got. I hope you're doing well. I am so thankful for this knitting community, and I love to see all your comments, and I love to hear what you're working on and what's on your mind. Please feel free to drop a line, and I'll check in with you soon. Happy knitting. Come on, say hi. Hello. Oh, you are excited. Oh, you're too excited. What, is there squirrels? He's freaking out.